Hi everybody, Kev here. Welcome back to the podcast. Yesterday we spoke about Winston Churchill, what an amazing man he was, and the similarities between him and Teddy Roosevelt. Well, I'm about to tell you a story that will really show you just how closely related they were as far as the type of men that they were. And this is another great, and there's just so many stories. I mentioned it yesterday. I know you're probably sick of me saying it, but there are so many stories out there of these amazing men and women who just changed the world. They just went out there. There was no internet. There was no mobile phones. They just went out and just did things to change the world and inspire us now with their books that they wrote and just their deeds. Amazing, amazing people, real heroes of the world. We need some of these people today, as a matter of fact. But here's a story about the Siege of Sidney Street with Winston Churchill. This is back on December 16, 1910. I love saying those dates, 1910, like it's 110 years ago now. Just amazing just to even think about that. So on December the 16th, 1910, 9 unarmed policemen were sent to investigate a reported burglary attempt in Houndsditch in London. When they arrived, the criminals, later identified as anarchist refugees from Latvia, opened fire, killing 3 policemen and injuring 2 others in the worst police shooting in London's history. Now, it's been noted that the killings reflected something of a culture clash. The Latvians were familiar with the armed and brutally violent Russian police, while the baton-wielding British bobbies were completely taken by surprise and unable to defend themselves. Of course, the bobbies in Britain don't carry firearms. Some of them do now, not all of them, but some of them do now, which is a very good thing. Now, during this melee, one of the gang members was accidentally shot by his friends and died a few days later. So there was a massive manhunt to hunt down these 2 surviving shooters. On New Year's Day, the police received a tip-off. So this is around about, 2 weeks after the shooting. So New Year's Day, the police received a tip-off that the murderers were hiding in a house in Sidney Street. So the police cordoned off the area, and Churchill, who was the police minister at that time, arrived and took command of the operation. Now, reinforced by the military, the police engaged the criminals in a lengthy gun battle, during which the Latvians fired more than 400 rounds, and a bullet tore through Churchill's hat. Like I say, the comparison with Teddy Roosevelt is uncanny. Teddy, of course, was shot, got up and gave a speech. Churchill gets a shot, a bullet through his hat. Just, you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. It is just real life, and it's history, and it just amazes me. Now, the situation was only resolved when the building caught fire, and Churchill ordered the fire department not to risk attempting to put it out. One of the men inside was shot when he leaned out to escape the flames, while the other man burned to death. Now, there's since been a degree of controversy over whether the 2 men were actually the same Latvians who shot the policeman, although historians have noted that starting a massive suicidal gunfight implies some level of guilt. Now, Churchill seems to have enjoyed the grisly experience, and again, this is getting back to Teddy Roosevelt. He loved this kind of stuff, but Churchill certainly enjoyed it. He told a colleague that the siege was such fun. Now, some papers criticised him for using the battle as a photo opportunity. I mean, things don't change much, do they? I mean, look at all our politicians these days using, photo opportunities every chance they can get. But some papers did criticise him for that. They did note that it was inappropriate for a politician to directly take command of a police operation. However, the incident seems to have helped cement his reputation as a man of action and improved his popularity with the general public. Again, another amazing story in history from an amazing man in history, Winston Churchill. He had his haters. People hated him throughout his life, especially if you're on the wrong side of him or on the wrong side of his political beliefs. That happens. When you're an action taker, you're out there and you're actually taking action, people get jealous. People don't like that. But he was an amazing guy. And like I say, the stories, they're very, very similar to Teddy Roosevelt. I'm just so glad that it's taken me until 2020 to discover these 2 guys, really, and just to read about their amazing history and what they did, their courage. They're just sheer guts to go out and do things. And this is what people lack these days. They just lack that courage to go and do things. It's a very soft society we live in, and that's just the truth. I mean, back in those days, it was a lot tougher for sure. Life was a lot harder. We have it so easy these days. These guys lived. They really lived their life, and we can learn so much from them. So another story tomorrow. Keep listening in. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate the support. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And please, if you're on Apple, please go to the Apple Podcast page and leave me a 5-star review. That would be really appreciated. It really helps get the word out. It gets more people involved, gets more people listening to the podcast, and hopefully I'm having some kind of impact on people and inspiring them to go out and be the best person they can be. And I hope you're one of them. Have a great day. Speak to you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Well, I really hope you enjoyed today's podcast. If you did, please subscribe and leave a review. That really does help us. And also share it with your family and friends. That would be great. And please support my sponsor, Prostate Plus. Prostate Plus supplements really can help shrink your prostate. I use them myself to great effect. The links to Prostate Plus are down below in the show notes. Thanks for listening. See you next time.